So should you be leveraging AI and technology? 110% absolutely. Should that be your value proposition? Not if that's not who you are. I'm Michael Mogill, founder and CEO of Crisp, the nation's #1 law firm growth company. I've built my business through practice, not theory. Crisp started with just $500 to my name and has grown to over 8 figures in revenue over the last few years, earning a spot on the Inc. 500 list of the fastest growing private companies in America. Our approach has been to take everything we've learned about generating massive growth within our own organization and help the country's most ambitious and committed law firm owners do the same for theirs. In each episode of this podcast, I sit down with innovative market leaders from the legal industry and beyond to learn from those who thrive in the face of adversity, challenge the status quo, and define what it means to be a true game changer.
This is Jessica, Head of Coaching Strategy at Crisp, and today we're flipping the script for another special edition episode to get Michael's take on how private equity evaluates law firms and what makes yours attractive or risky, why the value of your firm lies in outcomes, not the tech you use to get there, and what to do when the industry shifts and your motivation starts to fade.
Chances are you started your law firm because you wanted to bet on your own decision making. So it does seem more appealing for you to shut down the practice and go work for somebody else, then maybe you should go do that.
That's coming up on the Game Changing Attorney podcast. Here we are for another AMMA.
Welcome back. Excited to be here, Jessica.
Yeah, we were just sitting here and Michael disappeared and he said, I will be right back. And where did you go, Michael?
So I went to my office to bounce on a trampoline. I was probably bouncing, 2-3 minutes? It's an adult trampoline. You've seen it.
Yes.
I think some people call it like a rebounder.
Yeah.
If you go on Amazon. But it is amazing. Like, I don't think it's good to just sit all day, and especially if you got meetings back to back. And if you want to break that up a little bit, you can go on a walk, which we sometimes do, or you can bounce on a trampoline, and it gets your blood pumping. It gets you going. I mean, I came ready for this MMA.
Yeah, you did.
I had a little bit of feedback, in the past. Sometimes I didn't know there was an MMA. I came in a little scruffy, but we got the shave.
I know.
Today, and after jumping up and down on this trampoline just now,
we're ready to go.
I am ready to go. Whatever questions we got today. So if you're tuning in for the first time, you guys submit the questions. We answer them here on the AMMA, and you can text us at 404-531-7691. And this is just one of many types of episodes that we do on this podcast. So we've got our traditional interview format. We bring on somebody from the legal industry, outside of the legal industry, best-selling authors, elite athletes, CEOs, entrepreneurs, etc. CEO, entrepreneur, born in 1964, Jeffrey.
Wow,
flashback. I don't know, like that Jeffrey Bezos song just came back to mind. We haven't had Bezos on the podcast yet, but he's welcome to come on anytime that he likes. And outside of that, we got our encore editions. We bring back some of our most popular episodes. And then these AMMAs, which have surprisingly become our most popular episodes. So with that, Jessica, what do we got this week? I know you pick, three questions, and you usually try to group these somehow based on like a similar theme. But I'm excited what we got today as soon as I catch my breath.
Yeah, I know. Coming back from that trampoline. Let me give you a minute here. Michael, I run a personal injury firm with 12 attorneys in a state that's considering legislation to allow non-lawyer ownership. I've talked to a few friends who are in conversations with PE firms, and as much as I see that there's opportunity, it also freaks me out. What can I do to prepare?
Great question. We talk about this a lot. When you think about Crisp, like clients come to us for really one of two reasons mainly in terms of like how we help firms, because it answers this exact question. And one is to help them build a massively valuable practice that they are able to sell for a high enough multiple valuation, et cetera, that provides them with a level of just financial freedom to do whatever they want. Or the second reason is to build a massively valuable practice that they keep and is profitable. You have a succession plan in place, et cetera. So in terms of what makes a practice attractive to whether it's another law firm that might be acquiring you or private equity, really comes down to understanding how dependent is that firm on you. So the more dependent your law firm is on you, the less valuable your practice is. And if your firm is very much dependent, meaning that if you don't show up for a day or for a week, things don't happen, like anything from clients getting updates, going to court, payroll being run, etc. if you are ever the bottleneck on any of those things, then the practice is very much dependent upon you. And if you were to exit the practice, then what is left, right? So that's not as attractive for someone who might be interested in investing in or acquiring your practice. And meaning that what you would receive in terms of value would be substantially less. It could be, for example, if you have case inventory, maybe it's based upon that. Sometimes if you have like physical space or infrastructure, like an office building, et cetera, it could be based on that. And there's times where you have, there's an acquisition that occurs because people are looking to acquire the team, like if you've got great trial lawyers. But outside of that, usually if it's solely dependent upon you, the value that you're getting is, you may have an emotional value in mind of what, you've spent years building up this practice, what you feel it's worth, and then the true value of the practice is what somebody's really willing to pay. So conversely, if you look at it from the standpoint, if you've got great systems in place, if you've got a great leadership team, if you've got tremendous infrastructure, you're leveraging technology, you have good handle in terms of your data, your metrics, cash flow projections, cost of acquisitions in a really good place, the cost to acquire a case, average case value is high, you have phenomenal trial lawyers and a great trial team, and you can leave the practice for months at a time, and the practice will not just continue to run without you, but it will also grow without you. Now that is a valuable practice. Also, whether you have a strong brand in the marketplace, that matters a lot too, because, for example, if you are investing X amount of dollars every single month, let's say in pay-per-click advertising to acquire leads and ultimately cases. So for somebody who's looking to invest into the practice, that is not as valuable to them, because let's say you're investing $50,000 a month or $100,000 a month to acquire cases through Google pay-per-click or LSA or something like that. A acquirer would not necessarily pay a premium for that, because they could similarly spend the same amount of money to also do that. And that's where we say brand is more valuable, meaning that let's say you're very known in the community, you've been advertising for a very long time, you're trusted, people reach out to you because they know you, not just because of any sort of direct advertising and any kind of short-term marketing. So it's really what should you know? You should know that the value of your law firm is inversely proportional to its dependency on you. So really think about that, and what you can do to make your practice more valuable is to lessen its dependency on you, the owner. And that requires putting great systems in place, putting great infrastructure in place. You've got processes, standard operating procedures, et cetera. And you've got, let's say, a great leadership team that's creating other leaders. We do a tool, kind of a firm audit whenever we start working with a practice to really assess how dependent the practice is on the firm owner. And then this is something that you work on to make it less dependent. And that ultimately the goal is that the practice becomes self-managing. So you can essentially play any role that you like. You can step out day to day and really just be owner, or you can be more involved in doing things that you enjoy. Maybe you like working on cases and going in the courtroom, or mentoring other lawyers, or maybe you like being a part of the marketing. Whatever that is to you, you can choose how you spend your time, and it becomes much more leverageable. So those are the things that I keep in mind.
Awesome. All right. So question number 2. A legal tech startup just launched in my market offering AI-powered legal services at much lower rates. They're marketing this AI approach heavily, and I've started experimenting with AI internally, but I'm not sure if I should be marketing this to clients. Should I be redoing all my marketing around my openness to technology and AI, or does that just make me look like I'm trying to copy the startup?
I think you should do what works for you.
Yes.
So just because you see some legal tech startup that says, hey, we got AI-powered legal solutions, that might work for them, and that might attract a certain type of client base, but that may not be your value proposition. So I also am of the belief that, to a large extent, tech enablement and leveraging AI is largely a back-of-house initiative, meaning that this is something that you leverage in your practice to make the practice more efficient and more effective and more profitable, and being able to do more with less. So it could provide your clients with a better experience, and it could automate a lot of repetitive tasks and just in general make the firm operate more effectively. That's all happening behind the scenes. So in terms of, if your goal is to attract clients that are interested in low-cost legal solutions, then you could market that you provide low-cost legal solutions. But if your goal is to attract the most discerning, high-value clients and cases, then it's less about marketing your efficiencies on the front end and more so handling that on the back end, so you're able to lower your, not just cost of acquisition, but ultimately the cost to take the case full cycle, really profitability on a case-by-case basis, which should enable you to invest more resources in terms of everything from hiring to infrastructure to even acquiring new cases. But that, again, that happens on the back end. So should you be leveraging AI and technology? 110% absolutely. Should that be your value proposition? Not if that's not who you are. I mean, I don't know much else just based off this question alone, but just because you see somebody else doing something does not mean that necessarily you should absolutely copy exactly what they're doing. But I wouldn't ignore innovation and progress. And, if you've been leveraging AI in some capacity in your firm, maybe there's opportunities to leverage it even more effectively. So you can pull away a lot of great lessons from that. I mean, change is constant, so you should be always improving and growing the practice. But I don't know if that's a reason to change your messaging. That's really a kind of a different topic altogether.
Yeah.
I think it's really asking yourself what is more important in this very moment. Is it that are you trying to solve for messaging, or are you trying to decide what role does AI play in your practice, which I believe really is making the practice more efficient, profitable, and effective.
All right. So question number 3. Hey, Michael, longtime listener. I'm about to hit 20 years for my practice and I'm proud of it, but I have to be honest, I'm feeling pretty defeated. I hear you, the news, and other people talking about all these changes, legislative changes, AI, and Wall Street money, and I'm questioning whether it's even worth continuing. Some days I think about just closing up shop and going in-house somewhere. How do you stay motivated to compete when it feels like everything is stacked against you? A day in the life.
Yeah, welcome to entrepreneurship. This is not necessarily anything new in the sense that there's always been change. And now, yes, there is private equity coming in, non-lawyer firm ownership, AI, like there's a lot of change that's happening at the same time right now. But, there was change a year ago and 5 years ago, and there was obviously the pandemic, and then there was lawyer advertising in general, and then there's tort reform, and there's the increased competition and market saturation, and like how do you stand out and differentiate when there's commoditization? Like there's always going to be changes in the market, like period. And that was true when you started your law firm, and that's true today. So how do you stay motivated? I think it's one, you got to have a big enough vision that excites you to want to stay in the fight and ultimately have clarity over where you want to take the firm. And, just that's where the vision piece comes in. But it's also recognizing that learning doesn't stop, when you start your practice, and it doesn't stop when you just achieved your initial goals for that practice. It should be, a constant never-ending process of developing your skills, developing your capabilities, solving new problems and new challenges. And this is just a new challenge to solve. I mean, your chances are you started your law firm because you wanted to bet on your own decision-making. So if it does seem more appealing for you to shut down the practice and go work for somebody else, then maybe you should go do that. But if that's strictly as a response to feeling overwhelmed and fearful, then I wouldn't make a decision like that on a bad day. I instead would look at it as, okay, yes, all these things are happening, but they're not just happening to you, they're happening to all of your competition as well. So then in scary times, what gets prioritized is really resourcefulness. And that's why a lot of the firms that make the big leaps in a market in terms of, the firm that's, number 5, like kind of leaps up to the number 2 firm in a market, or even the number 1 firm, it doesn't happen during times of prosperity. It happens during times of adversity, ultimately. So I'd look at this as that, okay, well, in scary times, what becomes really prioritized is resourcefulness over just resources in general. So it's not always the firms that are the most financially well off that are the most adaptable. Quite oftentimes, it's the exact opposite. So you have an opportunity in these times to be very adaptable. And also, they're not all threats. I mean, with each one of these things that you just listed off, everything from like non-lawyer firm ownership, private equity, we talked about Wall Street money, AI, et cetera. There's also opportunities in every single one of those things as well. So it's not just a threat to your existence. It's also an opportunity for you to grow and scale the firm. Before, as a law firm, there was a time where your only options of getting acquired was to be acquired by another law firm. And if you were a big enough law firm, then you really didn't have as many options in terms of who could acquire you. That changes with private equity. Also, there's a lot of limitations in terms of like funding and capital, but with the ability for private equity to invest into your law firm, they don't have to buy out, you can buy in, that can help you grow and scale. And then when you think about things like AI, it creates a lot of great opportunities for the firm to be, again, I keep coming back to this, more efficient, more effective. You can do more with less, but you can also do more with more. So what a time to be alive when you have all of this like technology and opportunity and an ability to really like just scale if you approach it the right way. So it's, life rewards the learners and the doers. This whole moment feels too overwhelming, then really break it down into what do you control, and you control your open-mindedness, your attitude towards this, your ability to learn, you're developing your skills, and so on. So this defeatist mentality doesn't really help you. But if you don't feel like doing it, I mean, you're a grown-ass adult. You can do whatever you want. I'm not here to convince you either way.
Yeah, and think about your team, too. If you're feeling that, they probably are feeling that.
Oh, yeah. What's the saying? Like, the job of a leader is to, Vern said it. It's like to absorb...
it's like all the stress and
absorb
anxiety.
the stress and anxiety within an organization, exude hope.
Yes.
And optimism. There's a lot of change happening. But it's not just impacting you, it's impacting all of your competitors. And the thing I like about that, when that happens, is that now we get to figure out who's the most resourceful.
Yeah.
So you're not alone in any of this. And there's going to be a lot of people, probably a lot of your competitors, that do have that defeatist mentality, which means it creates a lot more opportunity for you to advance.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we'll see you next time.
All right, until next time.
You've been listening to the Game Changing Attorney podcast with Michael Mogill. If you found this episode valuable, here are 3 free ways that we can help you grow your law firm. Number 1, download the first chapter of Michael's book absolutely free at gamechangingattorney.com. Number 2, you can shoot Michael a text at 404-531-7691 and ask him any question you'd like. You might just hear the answer on the next episode. And finally, number 3, if you can leave this podcast a 5-star review, it will help us gain access to more influential thought leaders and bring their lessons learned here to you. For more information on this episode, see the show notes in your podcast app or visit legalpodcast.com.